Good day, fish tankers. I was thinking whether or not to make this video, and then I thought I should, because even if you experience, you still struggle with certain things in this hobby, and I'm having a bit of a battle here with two different things here among my fish. So I thought I'll make this video, and maybe somebody can tell me in the comments what would be the best course of action, because I'm not entirely sure. The tank behind me is completely fine, no trouble there. The puffers in the other side of the downstairs lounge, they're all right. They've got the usual things with a brown algae, but that's just something I've gotten used to, and I must clean myself. But it's the upstairs tanks where there is some trouble. So if you want to dig into that, then stick around. Okay, so here we are in my upstairs lounge. By the face of it, everything looks fine for where I'm sitting. But let's start with a shrimp tank there on the left, because that's where my major problem is. As you've known, I've put some fire red shrimps, some Neocaridina in here. And for the most part, they've been fine, buzzing about, very active, feeding well. But once or twice every week, I find a dead shrimp like that. And like this one over here. And I couldn't understand what it was, because the water quality is fine. Then I found this. Now that I've done some research on, that's the ring of death. That's a failed molt. The shrimp is trying to shed its exoskeleton and it can't. And within a minute or two after taking this footage, the shrimp was dead. Now I feed them some mineral food, as you can see there. So I made sure to have it in their diet, and there's no ammonia, nitrite or nitrate, so that's not the problem here, because I've tested for that. So there you guys see the problem that I'm having with a shrimp tank of mine. I never had good luck with shrimp, and I thought I was doing everything right. But I went and I tested the water as best I could. I use the JBL test kits. I usually find them very good. But with the GH test kit, it doesn't work very well. The water never changes color. You drip in the reagent, and as many drops you put into for water to change color, that's where your GH sits, and that thing never changes color. So maybe it's the actual kit that I have that's defective for the GH. But I tested it as well as I could with the strips. The KH is around 4, and the GH, if I have to sort of guesstimate on the strips, because the colors are so close together, I always find it very hard. The GH is around 4, so my GH is a bit low. Now usually I put in a little bit of alkaline buffer, just a single small dose every time I do a water change. I find it works well for the shells of my snails, that they don't get these white spots, and it buffers the pH. It keeps the pH from dropping. My pH is very low and soft coming out of the tap. There's almost no GH or KH, and it's around 6.8, and it tends to drop. That's why I use that. And there's also some in the swirl part of a dirted substrate. There's also a bit of bone meal, so that usually keeps my pH stable. I've never had trouble with my fish, but now you see what I have with shrimps. So something has got to be done, and I was thinking several things. Well, one is I can use some Seachem Equilibrium. That'll bring the GH up a little bit, because the alkaline buffer brings up the KH, and the shrimps don't really like a lot of KH. Or I could maybe use the Denelay shrimp salt, this one here, for the Neocaridina. So these are the two things that I was thinking about. Tell me which is the best option. I'm kind of leaning towards doing a water change with water that I treat with the Denelay shrimp salt, and then treating the water that I change with, and then doing a second water change maybe a day or so later, and see if that doesn't do the trick. Or maybe I should use the Equilibrium. I'm not sure, because also shrimps don't like big water changes. Now with the temperatures between 24 and 26 degrees Celsius, I can't get it much cooler than that. It's becoming winter now, but it's hard to get the temperature down further than that. So that'll have to be, and I don't think it's the food, because I feed them Mineral Junkie, I feed them Bacter AE. There is a Indian almond leaf there in the tank that they can feed on as well. They get some blanched baby marrow along with the 2 ottos that's in the tank, and a Nerite snail every now and then. So I don't think the food is the issue. They've got what they need. So it must be the water. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm leaning towards vanilla shrimp salt and just do it with a few water changes to get that GH up a little bit. I think that's probably my problem there. Now, besides the shrimp, then we have this other aquarium of mine. So here we go to my other tank upstairs. Now, if you look closely, this has been running, it's going on to 5 years now. It's not looking quite as good. You see the Vallisneria is dying down a bit. There's a bit of yellowing of the Cryptocorini leaves. I was thinking maybe the substrate is exhausted and the fish waste isn't feeding it anymore. It's a dirted substrate. And there's more snails here than usual because they're feeding on some decaying plant leaves. That's extra food for snails. So it just wasn't looking that bright. So I couldn't figure out what it was. The liquid fertilizer is not the thing that's on point. This is Wassertang, not doing too great. So I was thinking maybe I need to completely redo the tank. But then as I was sitting here, especially now that I have a bright Chihiros light in the little shrimp tank, then I've noticed something about this aquarium, and that was that the lights, even though it's on its top setting, are quite dim. It's no longer lighting up the aquarium as well as it used to. It's a sort of a no-name cheap Chinese brand, so I'm going to have to do something here. Now, over there's a few things. So obviously I need to go and replace that light. Now, the first thing there is you see the bracket sits on top of a rim, and it's got quite a thick plastic rim that supports the aquarium, you know, around it. So I was thinking I could maybe go for the Chihiros A2 series that I have in the vivarium, but those brackets are an issue. They won't go around that rim. You know, maybe I can just place them on top. If I the Chihiros WRGB Slim, the top end light that I had on a cube, it's a fantastic light, and those brackets will work. They'll sit on top of this rim. But the trouble there is I haven't got one that's exactly the length because it's an odd size aquarium. It's 80 centimeters from side to side. So it's 80 centimeters down the length. Chihiros makes one for a 60p and they make one for a 90p. So the 90 is going to be too long. The 60 is going to be too short. I might be able to extend that little bit with the brackets and it'll be fine on an 80 centimeters aquarium. But then I've got the second problem. From back to front, it's rather wide. It's 40 centimeters. That's about, how much? 16 inches, I think. And the thing is, I tested it just with a WRGB Slim that's on the other tank. I put on the 80 centimeters tank. The light is strong enough, but, you know, it's spotlights from back to front. It's not going to cover it. It's going to have a dark spot there at the back. So that means I'm going to need two of these lights, like I currently have on with these no-name lights. But, you know, those WRGB Slim, to get two of them, that's going to be hellishly expensive. So you guys got to tell me in the comment section, have you got another suggestion? Because, you know, that's also a warning for you. Think before you buy tanks that are extra deep from back to front. You know, sometimes it's a hard thing to get things that are right fit. Maybe get two Chihiros A series lights and just let the bracket sit on top of a rim. That could be maybe a solution. Else, I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to have to get a new light for that, and there's sorts of pros and cons. So tell me what you recommend. This tank that's 80 centimeters by 40 centimeters, the footprint, you know, is there a single light that's going to give you a good spread, or you're going to have to get two lights? And what would you do? You know, if you get two Chihiros Slimline WRGBs for 60p, you just extend them. That'll work, but yeah, that's a lot of money that I don't have. So I'm leaning towards maybe get two A series Chihiros and let them stand on the brackets. Or what else? Maybe Higa's got something. Let me know in the comment section. That's my little light dilemma that I'm struggling with. So guys, as you can see, things don't always go smoothly, but we're going to get on top of it. So until I see you guys again, take good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.